Is there a danger that if we don't welcome President Trump, we could actually financially pay the price for that?
Well, of course, what's going to happen is there will be what I hope is going to be a low-key state visit, so we will be welcoming him. But what I would hope would happen as well is that people will come out in large numbers to express very serious concerns about the way Trump conducts himself. We've seen him, he's a misogynist. We've seen, in relation to, for instance, world peace, that there's a real threat that the Iran nuclear deal will unravel, and that could have extreme
He's literally
consequences.
just brought North and South Korea to a negotiating table. Literally,
and he's 2-1 to get the Peace Prize.
Just done this. Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize after 9 months for not actually bringing the world to any more peaceful resolution. And yet you sit here and say that his foreign policy is the reason we should protest.
Well, of course, if he does, in fact, cancel the Iran nuclear deal, what does that say to North Korea in terms of how long any deal that he reaches with them will last?
Let me ask you this. You're going to protest against Trump, are you?
Yes.
You're going to turn out with your placard?
Yes.
OK. Were you protesting last month when the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia came into?
Indeed.
Where were you protesting?
I was protesting in Parliament, calling for him...
So you weren't actually on the streets protesting with a placard?
No, I wasn't.
But the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, as you know, has been presiding over war crimes in the Yemen of a despicable nature. He's just apparently broken all records, 48 beheadings in the last few months in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is one of the worst human rights in the world. The fact that you weren't prepared to march in the streets or call for mass protests against him, but you are for Donald Trump, means that you suggest that Trump somehow is worse than the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. I think some of our viewers might be curious, how can he be worse than somebody currently committing war crimes in the Yemen, beheading his subjects, and where women are so subjugated they can barely, they're not even at the moment allowed to drive? I'm curious.
Well, first of all, if you look at my record in Parliament, you'll see that I've consistently campaigned over many aspects of the Saudi government.
Wouldn't take to the streets
but
to
I think
protest
the difference,
against him. In fact, nobody on the Liberal side, here's my argument about this, nobody on the Liberal side actually did take to the streets against the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Therefore, they're drawing a moral equivalence where Donald Trump, leader of the United States of America, we deem him to be worse and more deserving of mass street protests than the leader of Saudi Arabia.
There were protests when the representative of Saudi Arabia came
there were literally three men and a dog, probably not even any women, ironically, right? But I don't understand why Trump's worse.
Because Trump is supposed to be the leader of the free world. He is the person who is supposed to be defending democracy around the world. He is the person who's supposed to be setting standards.
Right.
And I'm afraid he has consistently failed to do that.
I mean, this is all crackers, isn't it? We had Barack Obama come over here and say, would he be back of the queue if the country voted leave? And we've got a US president now who's talked about a big, beautiful trade deal, wants to increase trade, wants to have lots of jobs, sat down with Theresa May. And I'm getting very worried now about the Liberal Democrats because it's turning sort of an isolationist stance now. You don't want Brexit Britain to negotiate global trade deals. You're protesting the US president coming to the country.
Well, it's not just
I think this sends out a very negative...
Some million people, I think, have signed a petition.
It sends out a very negative message.
But there is this point, isn't there, that people hold the leader of the free world, the President of the United States, to a higher standard than we might do other world leaders. And people do have the right to peacefully protest.
Of course they do, of course they do. But I think the standard you should hold Donald Trump to is here is a man that talked about fire and fury, a little rocket man, and of course the Liberal Democrats and everyone else condemned him. And look at the results. Look at the results, those amazing, historic scenes we saw of Kim Jong-un and the South Korean president. Why don't you want us to be able to do global trade deals with President Trump? Isn't that a great thing? Isn't the possibility of being able to do that positive? Why are you so isolationist? Why don't you want us to be able to do those deals?
I'm very happy to do trade deals, which of course we can do in any case now, which we can do in any case. But the issue with the trade deals that are going to be struck with the US is that in terms of their animal welfare standards, they have lower standards than us. They want us to drop to their standards. And the consequence of that is that we will find it difficult to export to the
Should he get the Nobel Peace Prize, given where we're heading with the quiz? If they actually do a peace deal, should... the Foreign Minister of South Korea said the person who's been driving this is the United States president. Well, should he get the Nobel Peace Prize if it works?
Well, first of all, I'd want to be certain that he hasn't caused World War III first.
Well, when you sign a peace settlement, you're probably not causing World War III.
if the Iran nuclear deal unravels, what Trump has done, for instance,
No,
in relation to relocating the
embassy,
the US embassy to Jerusalem, those are things that are not exactly contributing to a peace process.
I'm asking you in the way that...
And I think would negate his...
I'm only asking you...
I think the answer is no.
If he was able to bring, as it appears he is, the two Koreas together for a peace settlement, should he get the Nobel Peace Prize for that alone?
Well,
in the way that Obama did for having Iran.
I think we could have a discussion about whether it was appropriate for Obama to get the Peace Prize, and I don't think perhaps...
But you would resist Trump getting it for bringing peace to the Koreas?
If at the same time Trump has stoked tensions in the Middle East by moving the embassy to Jerusalem, then no, I wouldn't.
Trump could do anything some of these people wouldn't give him any credit ever.
If Trump created a worldwide cure for cancer, would you say anything positive about him?
Of course.
You would? What would you say?
I wouldn't hold my breath.
I'd say that was a fantastic achievement.
Do you worry that if there is a huge protest against President Trump, that could actually cost us a deal? Or do you think he should be thick-skinned enough?
Price worth paying.
Well, I'm sure he'll be thick-skinned enough, and that's what I think the US ambassador has said, that he will come. But I think it's appropriate for him to see protests, and I imagine that will be happening, but it should be peaceful.
Do you think one of the reasons the Liberal Democrats are so in the cart when it comes to politics in this country right now is because your opinions on this kind of thing seem to be so, in my view, so willfully anti the national interest of his country? I mean, it just makes no sense what you're suggesting.
Can I just say as well, the Lib Dems are basically campaigning against votes at every turn. You talk about the Brexit vote, they campaign against it, they want it overturned. You talk about Donald Trump winning the US election, they protest against that. I'm starting to feel like the world's sort of passed you guys by. You're protesting against the will of the people right here across the world. It's a bit strange.
I'm simply saying that Donald Trump should represent the free world. He does so very badly. I think his position on foreign affairs issues is very mixed in terms of, yes, he might be about to make a good contribution in relation to Korea, but that is more than offset in relation to what he is doing in Iran and the Middle East.